Hi everyone, I'm Anthony and welcome to the very first Nerdy Harry channel interview. Tonight's guest, Jolene Kay.
You've probably seen the very talented Jolene Kay and you didn't even know it. Whether it's Grey's Anatomy, Criminal Minds Beyond Borders, House of Lies, Rizzoli and Isles, Scandal. Yep, that's her selling you the Doctor Shows insoles. Nissan Super Bowl commercial, selling you the computer. And right there with the very talented Kevin Spacey. Also drinking the naked juice, eating some Doritos. Yep, you've seen her in Star Trek, the movie as well. And doing some stunt work for Call of Duty Ghost. Jolene Kay is definitely an indie star. And also one of my personal favorite shorts of hers, The Courier.
And that's just a few of the things that Jolene's done. Now I get the opportunity to Skype with Jolene to get to know more about her. Hope you enjoy. All right, hi everybody. This is Anthony for the Nerdy Harry channel podcast interview, the very first one, and I have the very talented Jolene Kay. Hey, Jolene.
Hey, Anthony.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, man. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on Nerdy Harry podcast.
All this will be gone in like 2 months. Completed.
Oh, no, I am excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
No, absolutely. I greatly appreciate it. Before I get started and talk about this, let's talk about your heroin addiction. I want to bring that up. I know, I hate to do that right off the bat, but let's get all that weird stuff out of the way.
No, absolutely. I mean, I tend to like to warm up to that subject, but I commend you for the balls it takes just to come out of the gate like that.
You jump in the deep end.
And that's really what people want to hear about anyway,
No. But okay, I'll be nice the rest of the way. I'll try to be nice. So
not at all. That's great.
But okay, so Jolene, we met. Our friendship kind of started because of indie.com, and I know the first video I seen with yours and John Henry Soto's were the two first videos I'd ever seen on indie.com. And it was in the comedy contest thing. And you had done a video with Jessica Kinney, who, by the way, you two are like on a whole nother level.
Oh, man.
Probably like, really, you guys are like, the first time I had seen it, you guys reminded me a lot, and trust me, this is like the ultimate form of compliment to me growing up watching the Carol Burnett show. But you guys were like a Vicki Lawrence, Carol Burnett thing. It just worked. And so it's awesome. Like, can you tell me how you guys met and how that friendship evolved or started?
Yeah, sure. And that's great. And thank you, by the way. It's so funny just because we were going to acting class a couple of days ago and just decided to mount the camera or mount my phone on the dashboard of my car. And we just recorded the whole trip. It was like this 40-minute trip from the valley over the hill to Hollywood for this class. And oh my God, yeah, if you think we're on another level now, wait till you see what I edited together out of that footage. Jessica is awesome, and we met actually because she had come in years ago when Daniel and I first started producing content collectively together, and we were casting a film and we called in actors to audition, and she was one of the actors. And what was funny was that the role she was reading for was great, and she was great in the role, but she was too young and pretty at the time, to play exactly what we had wanted. So we just decided to become friends instead, and the rest is kind of history. We socialized first, and she and I figured out that we were we're not the same brand of weird, but a very complimentary brand of weird to each other. She is, and you'll see in this latest video, I think it's a really good demonstration of how she's much more hip and witty, and her pop culture references are unparalleled. Whereas I'm like, I don't know. I'm like a freaking robot sometimes. The stuff that comes out of my mouth, I'm like a weird science nerd person. But it's kind of the energies really work well together. And so thank you. Comparing us at all to Carol Burnett is amazing. And we did actually Indie.com was the first place that she and I started collaborating creatively to film things together or create sketches or what. And we were so thrilled to win a couple of indie prizes. Did not see that coming at all. You know, it was one of those things. And I know because you create content like this, like it's one of those things where you're like, well, you know, we make each other laugh and we have fun. So, I mean, why not just film ourselves doing that or edit something together? And you don't really know how it's going to be received by other people, but I don't know. You know, apparently there's some weirdos out there that like our brand of comedy. So,
No.
so that is, yeah. And so we've been friends for, gosh, 5 to 7 years, something like that.
Wow, that's really cool. And what was so cool, what I found out about Jessica later on, she's actually from Middle Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
And so I thought that was so, wow, like it is amazing to me how these people from all over the place, like number one, which I'll get to that later on, like how you make that jump to decide to move to LA of all places, you know, like that's such a huge step to me. But it's so cool. I thought that was so cool that she was from Tennessee as well. And like I said, you guys' interview, or not the interview, but the first video I'd seen with you guys, it was the audition one where she's from Minnesota. And like you guys, like you said, you guys complement each other so well in your comedy, and it works so good in every single video. I always look forward to everything you guys do, and so that's so cool that how you guys have. I can only imagine, like, are you guys the same way? Is it just as much crazy off camera as it is on camera, or is it kind of two different? You guys kind of like, okay, we're just kind of chill and laid back now. I mean.
Well, we'll get philosophical in our off-camera time, and we will cover a variety of subjects and get really serious really fast. I think that's my fault. You know, I'd be that person that'll walk into her apartment and be like, "All right, what's your heart got going on today? Just lay it on me." But this video that we're about to drop, you'll see kind of what it's like. Just impromptu. Like this is just us on a road trip together. I think there's a little bit of an element here and there in certain shots of being aware that there's a camera on us, but otherwise it's completely just uncensored. Like that's what it's like if you were just to hop in a car with us.
Wow.
Someday. So,
I absolutely cannot wait for that. That'll be really fun.
It's great. Well, like I said, it's like 40 minutes of footage, and watching it back, I was like, oh my God, I don't remember saying half the stuff I was saying. So it's a fun ride. But yeah, the indie.com was such a crazy thing to kind of come along and connect us to other people like yourself. I mean, and one of the other things that Jessica and I had such a blast doing was a video for Anthony Reese and stuff with all those other indie people.
I know, that was so cool. But
and we'll talk about that.
I wanted to read something here for you.
Yeah.
Jessica did me a huge favor and gave me a quote about you, Jolene. So
what?
Yeah. So all right. So this is what Jessica said.
Wait. Okay, let me prepare myself. I did not know this was happening. Okay. Okay, let's do it.
Where's the tissues? Prepare the tissues.
Oh, dear.
First off, she owes me $20. No, I'm just kidding. I threw that in there. I'm sorry, Jessica. I improved your quote. But, okay, Jessica said about Jolene, Jolene is amazing at communicating. She will ask someone so many thoughtful and interesting questions about themselves to get to know them. When you give her the answer, she really listens and engages. It's amazing to watch and be a part of. She makes you feel like you're the most important person in the world. She is strong physically and mentally. I love her just do it right now attitude. And so many things have come out of it. She is not only motivated, but is someone to be motivated by as I watch her work so hard at everything she does. She makes you feel like your feelings really matter and takes you into consideration before herself. Jolene is also one of the funniest people I know, and she is hot. Not a common combination, but nothing about her is common. That's just some of the things I love about her. So that was so cool that,
Oh, my God. When did that even happen?
I make things happen, Jolene. This is what
Apparently. Wow.
So, I appreciate, Jessica, if you watch this, thank you so much for, giving that to me. But, yeah, I definitely wanted to ask you about that dynamic in the interview because that's what drew me to you guys as far as your talent and the way you guys work together. Because I know for me personally, when I went to indie.com, someone had mentioned it to me. I cannot remember the person's name now. But anyways, they had mentioned to me about this website that maybe I should put my, really stupid videos on. Hey, let people see them. And you can actually even win money as well. So I know when I submitted, I think my Todd video was the first one I submitted, and I was just like, it is so cool, like to see all these people, whether you're in LA or whether you're in Australia or New York or Florida or Tennessee, like all these people can put their talent out there to be seen. And it's just so amazing. I mean, I'm really thankful for Indy, not just for the opportunity to kind of get me out of my shell with my comedy, but to give me the opportunity to get to know so many great people like yourself is just one of the, I think I've made some really good friends in you and Daniel and Jessica and Tom and Travis. You guys are all so amazing. And I'm so thankful for Indy. Indy has caused that. So that's so cool.
Oh, it's awesome. And I mean, I was thinking, taking all this in, because I sometimes, I mean, one of my faults, and especially, living in LA and doing the whole thing, I so infrequently take time to, I don't know, just breathe, as cheesy as that sounds, or really, really concentrate on some of these thoughts. I mean, so much of the time they're just kind of fleeting thoughts. But, just listening to you talk about the indie thing and about the connection with Jessica and how much doing all the indie stuff really kind of shaped us as dual performers like that. And then, if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, I just was thinking about all of us doing Todd impressions.
That was
because indie.com
so
introduced this to your character Todd, and it just, you have no idea like how crazy and random and awesome that night was. And we still talk about it. Everyone's like, God, like Anthony is this guy that, without even trying, kind of connected us all like that. Like we all came together to do that. You gave us this excuse to create something like that. And it's still like, I have the video on my computer, and periodically I'll just kind of look at it and be like, we did that. That happened. It seems like a weird dream, but anyway.
I know, that was so great too. I know for, which if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about here, you guys, a bunch of us from indie.com got together for Nicole and I and did a video for our wedding, kind of, hey, you guys rock. And that was so freaking hilarious and so funny. And I mean, mind blowing to see you guys do these dating characters. I mean, because when I started doing those videos, I mean, never in a million years did I think, such talented people were trying to, do these odd characters for this dating website. And it was so mind-blowing and so, awesome that you guys did that. And I'll never forget that. And even to this day, we still watch it as well. So
funny. And then it's just, it being this day and age, it's mind-blowing to me that we have never actually met in person. I mean, what's weird, though, is I feel like I know you better than some people I do see in person in LA. But I guess that's just this is how it is with some people.
Yeah.
But
no. I feel the same way. It's funny because, I've spoken to Tom on the phone. I've spoken to you. I keep in touch. I try to keep in touch with you guys. Like, I know it's probably odd that this guy from Tennessee, who we've never even met, will randomly say, "Hey, how you guys are doing?" But, I think it's important to keep that connection because to me, it was a real friendship that was created. And I'm thankful for that. And like I said, it really is because of indie.com. So that's so cool,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know, it is crazy. Okay, so, moving forward, you mentioned when you first moved to LA, like, I guess really before I ask that question, what got you into acting? Like, was there a point where was there like a play in high school or middle school that you go, oh man, this is really fun, I like this?
Well, my first time on stage was playing a little boy named Ollie in a community production of the best Christmas pageant ever in southern Missouri. And it was great. I mean, I think I had one line. I don't even remember what it was, but I basically got to run around being this little dirty, obnoxious kid on stage. And I remember the sound of the audience clapping at certain things or laughing at certain things. And it wasn't fully formed in my brain at the time, like, well, this is what I want to do. And it wouldn't be until years later. And even, I mean, I can pinpoint a few years back when I started studying with Marcus Giamatti, who was my acting teacher for a while. He still is. But anyway, and then I did some scenes from Streetcar Named Desire, which I would never cast myself in that play. Mostly just out of a sense of like, oh God, that role is a beast, and I just don't think that I think there are people that are naturally born to play like the role of Blanche Dubois. But anyway, the fact that he trusted me with that material and he pushed me, it was. I've always loved acting. I've always done it, but there was this pivotal moment where he pushed me beyond what I was comfortable doing.
Oh wow!
And it was just this moment where I went like, okay. I think I'd kind of been, if I'm honest about it, I think I'd kind of been half in, half out of acting up to that point. Mm-hmm. But a few years ago it changed and I got comfortable putting my whole ass into it, instead of doing a half-ass kind of thing. So I think it was a strange journey for me that it started when I was like 7 or 8 or whatever that was in the best Christmas pageant ever. And then it was years of figuring out that was wholeheartedly what I wanted to do. So the foundation was there, but yeah, I didn't throw myself headlong into it until, I was almost 30.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, were you like in the drama club and all that stuff in high school? Or like, was it after high school when you kind of realized like, yeah, I really want to do this. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm the most indecisive person in the world. So it was definitely after high school. And I mean, what was silly, though, is I did community plays up until high school. I was in all the high school plays in high school. But, I mean, I was also in Future Farmers of America and Yearbook and all the sports teams and choir. Like, I was like sampler platter person in high school. I was also in band. So I don't know how I don't think I gave myself time to make any decisions at all. So I did all that, and then I also went to college and didn't declare a major until I was a junior, and I was like, well, looks like most of my credits are in theater and psychology, so I guess that's what I'm going to end up with a degree in. I'm super focused, Anthony. And then after college, I graduated and kind of stuck around my college town teaching rock climbing for about 6 months, and then my mom suggested that we check LA out since that seemed like that was where my life was going. And
wow, really? That's so cool.
Yeah, well, and it's just kind of, it wasn't even like, yes, I shall go to LA and I will conquer LA. At the time, I said yes to the trip to escape a relationship I was in.
Yeah.
It's also super mature and capable of making adult decisions. So I ended up in LA kind of to escape all that. And that's why I fumbled around for 5 to 6 years before it really hit me that, you shouldn't waste time and you probably should make decisions and you feel it in your heart and soul. And so, yeah, that was my journey. But
no, I'm the same way. I'm very indecisive on that too. Like for me, because I was in band in high school, and I remember I did one play in high school, and this was like nowhere on my radar to do this at any point. Growing up, I wanted to do stand-up comedy. That's what I always wanted to do.
Yes.
All my friends wanted to do all this amazing, cool stuff like engineering, and I just thought to myself, like, I just want to make people laugh, because I would watch Saturday Night Live and be like, oh my gosh, that is so amazing to me, So when I got to high school, I tried out for a play called Our Town.
Oh, I'm familiar with it, yes.
Yeah. So I thought, not in a million years I'm going to get a part or anything. Like, I got a small little part of Sam Craig, who opens. It's so funny that I remember this, but I opened Act 3, and I'm the first person that's supposed to walk out, right? So I've never done anything like this before. And I remember standing behind
he has like a monologue or something, right? Like, don't you come out and say, oh, man.
It's like in the cemetery. Yeah. He's walking through the cemetery,
That's right.
And so, like, I'm I'm behind the curtain. I've never done anything like this before. And right when the curtain opens, like, literally, I forget everything. Like, blank, zero, right? And so I just go ahead and walk on out, and everything hit me, and it was the greatest feeling in the world that, like, all this stuff hit me. It felt awesome. I was into it. And, it's so crazy, because I had a similar experience years later when I did my very first ever amateur night for stand-up comedy. And right when I'm about to go to the stage, I had this long sheet of stuff that I'm going to say, and yada yada, and right when they called my name, I'm like, Anthony Reese, come on up, and I was like, awesome. And as I'm on my way up there, I forget everything again. I drew a complete blank, and the guy, like, who was hosting it, he was like, it was at Zany's Comedy Club, and he's like, hey, good luck, and he shakes my hand. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to say.
You're like, it's Our Town all over again.
No, exactly. Darn you, Our Town.
God.
And so, like, as soon as I grabbed the mic, and I kind of, like, took a second to put the stand to the side, and it was the greatest feeling. Had all this stuff hit me that wasn't even on that sheet of paper, and it was one of the coolest. I'll never forget it. So it's so amazing how things like that,
Yeah.
can play a part in your life. But like I said, on the indecisiveness, I was the same way. So now I didn't do like I cannot. By the way, I cannot see you in FFA. That is that is so.
Well, it was only 1 year, and we didn't get a whole lot accomplished when I was in there. To be honest with you, I don't even remember what led me to that class. Or that organization.
FFA this year. I spoke to one of your teachers who said, "No, I'm just."
I was like, "What?"
And, I also contacted one of your teachers from high school, Jolene.
Oh dear God!
It's getting weird now, Anthony. Stop it.
Oh.
So, like, when you first came to LA, what was that experience like? If you could, I mean, was that a whole? Because you went from Missouri to LA. What the heck? That is like a whole nother level of different, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I had lived briefly in New York before that.
Okay, so that was a bit of a culture change as well. So I guess.
Yeah, well, but the funny thing for me was, assuming it all, because you hear people will give you advice unsolicited when you're making a big change like that, and I tended to think, well, I've been in one big city, what's another big city? And people would say, well, New York and LA are very different, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm sure they are, but it's not something you can really wrap your head around unless you experience it, and yeah, I think there'd be a culture shock from someone that had exclusively lived in New York and made the move to LA, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, just in the mentality and the approach to life of the people that live in LA, to the pace of it, traffic. I mean, that's you get used to in New York being in a community, in a sea of people, in a little tube, running around the subway and stuff. But the anonymity in LA was something that I really did not anticipate. That was probably the biggest adjustment, just because, I mean, in Southern Missouri, everyone knows everybody, and you kind of take that for granted, or you tend to, you can start thinking of it as a negative thing, because there is no privacy really. Everybody's family knows everybody else's family. But you underestimate the impact of the comfort and the familiarity and the accountability that comes with that kind of setup. You move to a place like LA, and I thought to myself, well, it'd be great. It'll be like in New York, everything felt like a community. There's a sense of community in New York, and especially the way the city comes together during holidays or whatever. There's like this collective feeling to it.
Oh, wow.
So you go to LA though, and it's not that people want it to be this way. I think it's just a product of how spread out everything is, how much time you spend in your little metal box on the freeway, just with your thoughts or your audiobook or whatever it is. You spend so much time commuting to and from, you're wherever you need to go, pursuing your goals. It's and I make it
you time. Does it feel like mentally it's a lot of you time? Because I would think now, well, obviously I didn't grow up in Missouri, but I grew up in Tennessee, so and I've been to places before like West Coast or East Coast, and I used to think I wanted to get away from all this here in Tennessee, but I love knowing that everybody kind of knows you a little bit, you wave and stuff like that. To me, it would seem like you would get to a place like LA, and I don't mean this in a harsh way, and I hope I'm not being a jerk by saying this, but it seems like everybody's kind of worried about them. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
In a mean way, no offense.
Not at all. There are much harsher ways to put that, but no, it's definitely an environment conducive to that kind of thinking. You do have to look out for yourself.
Right.
You have to be aware of your own goals and what you want out of the city. But on that same note, if what you want out of it is a sense of community, there is a way to achieve that. Right. It's not as effortless as it would be in a place like Southern Missouri or even New York.
Right.
And I make the joke all the time. I live in the Valley. I live in the San Fernando Valley. That is part of Los Angeles just as much as a beach community like Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. But you might make a new friend randomly and really connect with them, and you're getting to know them, and then you're living in the Valley. I'm like, well, hey, where are you? And they say Santa Monica, and I'm like, we are never going to see each other. It's never going to work. I mean, it's one of those things. But yeah, it can be a very isolating place. And especially because it is full of people like myself who are always looking for the next gig. There's nothing to kind of streamline life unless you design your life that way. I don't know if that makes
No,
sense.
that makes sense. And I'd say also on the flip side of that too, though, is you have so many people who have this same goal and
Yeah.
you have these same similarities, and you're meeting different kinds of people, but have these same goals as well. So that's the flip side of it. That's Missouri wouldn't take advantage of people. I shouldn't say it. Boy, I'm making it sound like Missouri hates creative people, but I'm just saying LA embraces that. I think a little bit more. I would
Yes.
imagine embraces the creativity. I hope that
Yeah,
makes sense.
there's the opportunity. That's why people move here because of the abundance of opportunity. It can also though lead to making people that are in the same goal group make people feel in competition with each other,
Oh,
which
yeah, I could imagine.
yeah, and I mean, after the amount of time that I've been out here and I've made this my life, I think that's such a trap, and it's so unnecessary to feel that way. I mean, a bit of jealousy is going to be inevitable,
Hmm.
especially if you see somebody working more than you or whatever.
Yeah,
But I think there are healthy ways to channel that,
yeah,
Actually, and I think that's why I'm grateful for people like you and some of the like Jessica and Daniel, and like I do feel like I've got this community of people that are like,
right.
let's help each other succeed.
Yeah, and that's one thing
Yeah.
I've noticed. Because I guess we've been friends now about 2 years now or so, which is insane. It doesn't seem that long, but
I love it.
yeah, absolutely. What's so cool though about it is like what I've seen from you and Daniel. You guys have that community of people, and you guys have fun, and you go out and do stuff together with your friends, and like yeah, I wouldn't think at all that you would fall into that trap. I don't think your personality would allow that. I think you guys just have. I guess it would be. I guess it would be easy to do that, but I think you guys have found a way to beat that because it seems like you guys are always having a good time,
Mhm.
and you're meeting new people, and that's so cool. So that's so awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, try. I don't see a point in being otherwise.
yeah,
It's just like really, what is the point if the business makes you miserable
yeah.
or you're jaded and bitter all the time? It's just like, oh my God, go somewhere else and make another. Like, there's just no point in being that way.
Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was wondering, what was it like those first couple of times here in LA, but there in LA, when you went to audition? Was that a little intimidating for the first time?
Oh God, absolutely, yes. I'm trying to remember what the first thing was that I auditioned for because I've not thought about that in such a long time. But my God, yes. I mean, it just, and especially if you're like me, I didn't really make an effort to acquaint myself with the casting landscape. I didn't really know the rules of anything. So you're walking into situations where you're just like, oh my God, I don't know who anybody is. I don't know who is running the camera. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But you know what? Like, I'm going to give it my best shot. Later on, I educated myself mostly through trial and error, and then I started asking the right people the right questions about how the hell to navigate this big organism. So yeah, I mean, it's just completely intimidated by my lack of knowing anything,
What
mostly.
what got you over that? Was that just experience that you kind of go, you know what, I've done this, a couple times now. I've got the hang of it, or was it just a mental block that some people can always go through? Like, is it intimidating every time for some people? Does it just have to be your personality, or what?
I don't know. I mean, I can tell you what it was for me. Even before I moved out to LA, there was a lot of advice given to
Mhm.
me, like you fake it till you make it kind of advice. I think that might work for some people. It does not and did not work for me because I don't know how to do that. I'm confident in my acting skill, but I'm actually not a good liar.
Mhm.
Um, so so I kind of ran into that for a few years. Like, well, how do I fake it? How do I fake it? How do I convince people that I'm more than what I am?
Right.
And one day I just got really, really tired of that, and I went, you know what? I don't know shit about shit, and I think it's time to admit that, and that I can fix. I can't fix the faking it issue. Like, clearly, I've had years of trying to do that. So, and I horrible failure stories all around about that. But moving on to that next phase for me, which was like, and there's some, I don't know whose quote it is, but to know that you know nothing is the beginning of enlightenment is kind of the, that worked for me. Like, okay, I don't know anything. whose class do I get into? Who do I ask? I kind of know this person whose career is doing well. Let me take them out to coffee and ask them. It just really kind of changing from like a, I don't know what, like a, I'm just pretending that I had something going on to just be like, nope, I'm a sponge. Like, let me learn as much as possible before taking the next step. I'm not great with uncertainty, so asking the right questions and filling in the gaps in my knowledge really helped me feel a lot less intimidated. Because one of the most powerful questions in life to me is, well, what are you afraid of? And for a while there, it was the fear of admitting that I didn't know anything. So anyway, once I faced that and I kind of flipped it and I was like, hey, the good thing about knowing nothing is that you can start to know something.
Yeah, and you don't know that there's bad.
Right? So yeah, it just was being open to learning and asking the right questions, I guess.
No, absolutely. And to me, it seems like I said, unfortunately, I'm not in, the acting business or anything like that. But like, to me, as an actor and actress, you're a salesman, right? I mean, basically, you have to sell yourself and that you can do this to, that part, and in even some cases, I guess a director or whatever may have a person they have in mind, but really it's your job to show them that, look, I may not be what you're looking for, but I can do this. I can do anything, Is that kind of really one way to say about being an actor or an actress? Maybe I'm completely off. I have no idea.
No, God, you're not. It's a very good way of looking at it, I think, with a few tweaks.
Okay.
Because the convincing people thing is the tough part. And that's what can be intimidating about walking into an audition room, is this implication that you are not valued unless you convince them, unless you prove to them that you're worth something.
Gotcha.
Especially with the way casting is going now, walking into any room knowing that you're enough and you've done all the work before you went in there. You drove across town, you worked on the audition, you did all this stuff. So there's nothing, I strongly believe there should be nothing you feel that you need to convince a person of.
Right.
It's just like, here's what I got. If you don't want it, that's totally cool. I got another audition next week or in a couple days or whatever. Like, at least my focus is very much become, okay, if I lose out on a job, which, let's face it, is going to be most jobs you're not going to get, but I just want to leave the room knowing that if I didn't get that job, it wasn't because I didn't work hard enough. I don't ever want to leave a room thinking that, oh, it's possible somebody outworked me. I cannot control anything else.
Yeah.
And that has led me to meet with the most success, just because it's so hard. It's so hard not to think about the people looking at you and convincing them that you're likable and convincing them that you're worth hiring. I mean, I don't know, I'll cuss like a sailor, so I'll try not to in this podcast, but it's just like,
okay.
Forget that. Forget all that stuff. Forget those people. They've got their jobs to do, but sorry.
I think what separates you, and it kind of puts you in a whole nother level. And I think one of the many reasons you stand out on indie so much is because I think you have this mentality, and I could be completely wrong, Jolene, because, I'm still getting to know you here. But I think you have this mentality that you may beat me, but you're not going to outwork me. Like mentally, like, absolutely, I'm going to outwork anybody. And, and you can see that in everything that you do. Like I said, on indie, because I know when I first started doing it, I would just do the comedy stuff. I didn't really care less about any of the acting stuff, because that wasn't my thing. I just wanted to make people laugh. And so then, like, the more I got to, exploring the website and getting to know you guys and see you guys who are really funny in the comedy part, also doing this really great stuff in acting, I thought, well, maybe I'll try it, And I seen, like, you guys, like I said, you and these are just people off the top of my head, like you and Travis and Jessica, Tom, you guys and Matt, you guys are all on this whole other level, and I just respect that so much. And believe it or not, it inspired me to do the acting stuff, because I thought these guys are, I didn't absolutely believe I was on your guys' level, but I thought, man, these guys are so talented in comedy. Maybe I should try this. And absolutely. So, but, getting back to my point there, I see that in your personality, and it shows in your videos, believe it or not. It does.
I know. Well, thank you. That's the highest compliment. I mean, it's always nice to hear if someone likes your work, but it's the best thing in the world if someone's like, "I can tell you worked your ass off on that." Then it's like, okay, great. Well, I mean, I might not be right for the part, or they might decide to cast something brunette instead of blonde or whatever. Great. That's the production has to come first, and I totally understand that. But at least I can go to sleep at night if I know that I have worked the hardest I could possibly work. And look, you can't be perfect. There are definitely things I've done where I'm like, I got to cut corners on that, and it shows, But I just think being in touch with that and making that the goal instead of booking the job or impressing the right people or whatever, like that, none of that stuff is going to get you anywhere, in my opinion and in my experience. But I was so excited to see you show up in the acting circles, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
No, I don't. Like Nicole is my biggest support system, is my rock, and like she's the one who, and believe it or not, like I wouldn't have done any of the comedy videos if it wouldn't have been for her, because she's the one that was like, you should do it, you should just try it, and so
Yes.
when I did the acting thing, she was like the one helping me and reading off screen, because I'm like, like I've told you, this isn't my living, this is just something I'm trying for fun. But it was I really enjoyed it. And like I said, you guys inspired me in such a way that I never thought I would do something like that. And I'm so thankful that you guys pushed me, creatively. So that was so cool.
Oh man, well, I mean, all we did was put content online. You pushed yourself, and you're the one that put the effort in. So
You're right. I really should thank myself more than anything.
I feel like you should make this adjustment.
Well, hey, you had mentioned earlier that you studied with Marcus Giamatti, who is actually Paul's brother, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So what was that like? What was the experience like studying with someone, getting do you have to do that? Like when you become an actor, is it recommended that, look, you need to study, you need to learn from somebody, or can you just go, nah, I've got natural talent, I got this?
Well, I mean, it's one of the frustrating things about this business is that there truly is no cookie cutter path to anything. I can only tell you what has worked for me. I mean, I can't think of a single casting director that I've come across who, if you ask that question, wouldn't be like, oh my God, absolutely, be in class. And especially in a landscape like LA, people oftentimes refer to it as the Olympics of acting. If you're coming into these casting rooms, or you're trying to even get in the door, let's say for a network TV show or something, and you don't have any credits on your resume that are, say, beyond student film level, the next thing they're going to look at, if your physical look is right for the part, is your training. Mm-hmm. So if you've trained with somebody that has some clout in LA that people respect, it'll open doors for you. So there is that. There's that move that's advantageous. And also for me,
experience, I'm sure it has, but like, what's the experience been like to work with somebody like Marcus?
Marcus is amazing in a lot of different ways. The experience for me was, trying to sum it up in one word, but liberating. He's a big asker of questions. If you take on any role, he'll sit you down and be like, great, what was their childhood like? What was their relationship like with their father? He'll ask you questions. I mean, and it could be something. He usually doesn't go this mundane, but okay, what was their relationship like with their father? How many siblings did they have? What does their kitchen look like at home? Like, so specific to the point. That's a lot of what he teaches is if anything is coming out of your mouth dialogue-wise, you are not in touch with where it comes from, and you're not in touch with this character to that level. Like, you should know what kind of kitchen this character has. That's
there's a brown carpet that I slipped on when I was 5 years old. And I hit my head on one finger. I had tomatoes.
Yeah, I know, and I mean it's a little bit more specific.
I know. It's what I do. I take it to the next level.
But no, I mean he would be thrilled if you got that specific with him in this exercise. If you were like, there's a brown carpet that I slipped on, he would be like, did everyone see what Anthony did there? But he will ask why.
Yeah.
He'll ask why of you until you hit something you can't answer. Why is your character saying this? Well, because she feels scared. Why does she feel scared? What is she scared of? He does not give you the answers, which was an interesting thing for me. There are different instructors in LA that want to hammer, like, that work the opposite. So that's what was nice about Marcus.
Right.
Because he'd lead you to the conclusion, but he would never give it to you.
Well, that's because I can speak from as a fan. Like to me, I want if I'm watching a TV show or even a commercial or whatever, I want that person, that actor, actress, they're that person, and what brought them to being that person, and all these things. As a fan, I can speak that I appreciate that he does that for his students. That's really cool. I mean.
Yeah. So he likes to work with classical material, which I loved the education I got in college, but we did mostly Shakespeare productions, and it would be like Shakespeare set in the Old West or Shakespeare set on the moon, or like that's typically what we do. And I didn't get a lot of exposure to Chekhov or Ibsen or Mamet. And the last time we ran through a play in his class, I got to do Betrayal. Oh, it's Pinter. Yeah. I think I'm right on that. And Pinter, have you ever worked with any of his material?
Nope.
If you get a chance, I mean, it's just an interesting exercise as an actor because the way Pinter writes his scenes, there are so many ways that dialogue can be interpreted to the point that there are different versions of his stuff, his shows that have been put on. And you get a different performance every time with the exact same lines. I mean, he doesn't deal with exposition. He doesn't have his actors fill in the subtext at all. So it's I don't know. It's really, really a neat experience. So I don't know, the play Betrayal. If you know.
Okay, great. No, I appreciate that. Hey, thanks for explaining that because I mean, like I said, I'm new to all this, so it's pretty cool to hear it explained. I would never even thought that, okay, yeah, it's recommended that you get somebody to study under so you can learn these things like you just explained. I mean, excuse me, it makes me appreciate what I want to talk to you now, if it's okay, Jolene, about, your various TV roles, whether it's commercial, TV, like you've even done like stunt work for a Call of Duty game, right? Ghost?
Yeah.
What was that like? Was that pretty cool? And
I loved that. I've been endeavoring to do more work like that, and that was just with one studio, with Activision, Neversoft, that hired me to provide all the female soldier movements for Call of Duty Ghosts, which was a big deal at the time because they had not had female soldiers previously in the game. So
wow, that's cool.
that was fantastic. And for about a year and a half, it ended up being pretty steady work. So I did the female soldier stuff first, which was a day or two of running around on this big grid called the volume and, your little mocap suit. And then they called me back for various cutscenes or in-game play with different characters. There's a character, Dr. Samantha Cross, in some expansions in the game, and she's got her whole story and her brain gets taken over by aliens, and there's a lot of physical stuff that happens with her, getting knocked out, shooting guns, getting thrown in the back of a truck. So I came back many other days during that year when that was happening to provide the movements for that. So it was a whole other beast as far as acting goes, and much more like being on a stage as opposed to acting for film, and not subtle at all. So, but it was fun. I'm a very physical person, and it was a chance to use that sort of natural thing that I have anyway. So that was a lovely job, and I would love to do more of that kind of work.
That's cool. Well, I'm sure you'll get the opportunity for it. So, as far as TV roles, has there been I know you've done Criminal Minds, Beyond Border, right? Beyond Borders. That's it.
Yes.
There's Flaked with Will Arnett, Grey's Anatomy, Rosalie. I was like, is it pretty wild to think about where you first come to LA and you've got all these goals and dreams and ambitions, and to see you doing this stuff now that's on TV, is it kind of surreal, or to see yourself up there, is that kind of cool or surreal?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's just so I don't get a big head. It feels more normal now, but man, I mean landing that first TV credit is indescribable, just in that, up to that point, you might have put in years of work doing student stuff or your own productions or having your own projects that didn't quite go the way you wanted it to, or failed, or the footage wasn't good enough or whatever. and you just don't really know if and when that's ever going to happen. Like someone will trust you enough to put you on national television. And it was crazy for me because all of basically everything noteworthy that I have booked and shot and that has been released has happened in the last 2 years, commercially and on TV. So that's insane to me. But I think I mentioned earlier, about 2-3 years ago is when I did make that decision. Finally, made the decision to do it wholeheartedly or not at all. And only viewing it that way, in that black and white way, was I able to, I think, make the shifts I needed to make to walk into the rooms and book the job. So yeah, it's weird. You never know what it's going to look like or what the edited product is going to, how it's going to reflect your performance until you see it. So there's still, you're watching the episode and you're like, I don't know if they're going to use all of it or if they're going to cut me out, which I've experienced as well. And it's still crazy. And I think you get a little too used to it, but it's nice to have people in your life that don't work in the industry and are still like, oh my God, you had one line on the thing.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you should.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's amazing.
yeah. To me, I thought it was cool seeing you, which I've seen you on these shows as well, and it's so cool to think, oh wow, like you just said, like oh, well, I'm a fanboy. Yeah, that's so cool. I know her. So, I mean, is it? That's one thing I was going to ask you as well. Is when you work on shows, like you see these people that are on TV, is it easy to fall in that trap of being like when you see these people, that actors and actresses, that you go, oh wow, this is pretty cool. I'm on the set with these people. Like I'm here with them. Is that pretty surreal as well? I mean, is it hard not to get caught up in like, oh crap, I'm like doing a commercial with Kevin Spacey right now, or like is that pretty wild as well? I mean, do you kind of have to keep yourself in check, or do you just go with like, hey, if I jump on their bones and hug them like crazy?
Oh man, I tend to be. I mean, I'm just a goofy asshole when it comes right down to it. But I tend to be very reserved and very respectful of people's space, because you never know what kind of personalities you're dealing with, and especially if you're face to face with someone whose resume is like a billion times what yours is. I just tend to kind of be like, yeah, however I can serve this project, like, but yeah, there's still a part of me that's like, you get into the wardrobe, you go through makeup and hair and everything, and you're walking around, and especially if it's just like you're spending one day on a set that they've spent seasons on, and all these people, all the regulars are like, it's like second nature to them.
Right.
I still feel like someone's just gonna look at me and be like, she doesn't know what she's doing. I'm like, they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna figure it out.
And it's on to me. I haven't.
Yeah, they're gonna know. But yeah, no, it depends on the person, and I'm always caught off guard by who I'll get starstruck by. Like on Criminal Minds, for example, when Gary Sinise, who was super super nice, he walked by me in the makeup trailer and he stopped and he was like, I don't know you. I haven't met you. What are you doing on the show? What's your role? And, and of course there's this voice in my head that's like, it's Lieutenant Dan.
No, I was going to say, I was like, should I say it? No, I'm not going to.
Yeah, no. And then, you fight the urge to be like, oh my God, like, and I've seen people do that in public. I used to work a job where Matt LeBlanc would come in and, so many customers would be like, say how you doing, just unabashedly fanboying out, as you say. Right. So I just try to treat them like a person, but they're make no mistake, there's this little kid in me that's like, oh my god, I saw the one, whatever it was. But when I was on the set of Star Trek, I was there for like a month, and you're like, I'm just one of the people on the Enterprise. And Jonathan Frakes, who's Commander Riker in Star Trek Next Generation.
Such an awesome, he should be directing like all the Star Trek movies, in my opinion.
Right. Well, and he did. I think he directed First Contact.
Yeah.
And he directed quite a few episodes of other Star Trek shows. But he came to set just to see the new Enterprise, which I thought was so cool. Oh. And this was like, I'd been in LA for a year, and I was still new to so much. But I mean, they don't warn you that these people are dropping by. Like Tom Cruise brings Surrey onto set and is like, oh, hey, here's the Star Trek set. But Jonathan Frakes walks in, and I wouldn't have predicted that I would have freaked out. But I mean, it was like, my God, I spent years watching this man as Commander Riker,
Right.
and oh my God, he's right in front of me. And everyone kind of got the opportunity to walk up and say hi. So I tried to stay cool, but I walked right up to him and it was like, I know I had a weird look on my face. And he stuck his hand out and I go, "Hi, I'm Jolene." And he goes, "I'm Jonathan Frakes." And all I could manage to say was, "I know." And then I walked away. It was just like, but I think it's that feeling, it's that disconnect of like, I know who this person is. I've watched them for so long. I'm emotionally connected to them. Oh my God, they don't know who I am. And oh my God, it's a really weird, I don't think you're like, at least my brain doesn't know what to do with that.
Right. And you probably
Much better at it now, but.
right. And you probably also want to, there's that fine line of, oh my gosh, this is this person who I grew up watching, like this is Riker. And then there's the other part is like, man, he's just a regular dude, like,
Yeah.
and it's probably like mind blowing to him that, somebody's like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm him. It's just a character, and like actors and actresses that are coming up are probably going through like, yourself as well. Like, for me, I think it's so cool that, boy, I'm going to sound like a fanboy for saying it, but it's so cool that I have somebody like you on here that, I mean, not is just a friend, but somebody who's very talented and has done all these really cool things. But at the end of the day, you're just a regular person, and so are all those other people. So it's that fine line of go, oh my gosh, how do I freak out? But they're just somebody like me.
Well, yeah, it's weird, and I think that's the battle going on in your brain. When my Rizzoli and Isles episode came out, I was thrilled at the time, and so you've seen that, right? It's like the gun instructor, and Jordan Bridges has a crush on her, but then, surprise, she's a lesbian.
Yeah, he gets.
So. Yeah, but I mean, that was my first guest star role on anything, and I was just thrilled to have been cast, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is so crazy. So when that aired, what I did not anticipate and what really threw me off is there was a group of people on Twitter that have watched that show religiously, and it's been through so many seasons now. But people reached out to me and sent me private messages on Twitter just being like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm nobody, right? Right? But they would say things like, oh my God, like what was it like portraying a lesbian on TV? Like, what was that? What did you do to get into character? Like, what did that mean to you? Yeah. And I still, I don't know if I answered the question correctly. All I could think of to say was, it was just like playing any other character, Yeah. I just talked about a wife and kids as opposed to a husband and kids. And I think, the message I got that seemed to mean something to people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the only answer I have. I never looked at that role being like, oh, man, I am going to represent lesbians with this part. But it was a lesson though in like, what these things can mean to people, and it's beautiful, really. Yeah,
that is so cool. Are there any actors or actresses that you wanted to work with? I mean, is there like some people on your list that you go, oh man, that would be so cool to work with them, or even directors for that matter?
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, I have a bigger list of actors. As far as directors go, I just would think to work on a James Cameron project would be. I don't even know. Like something like The Abyss, like something that extreme. Like, we're gonna put you guys in a covered pool for days and have you do something that goes to that extreme. I mean, I don't know what the guy is like personally, but on a professional level, the way that he treats his projects, I just think doing something like that. Oh, Guillermo del Toro would be mind blowing as well. I think it would be fascinating to work with Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
just
director.
Yeah. And then I go through phases with actors. It depends on what I'm watching and what I'm taking in. But someone like Johnny Lee Miller, who I think is so underrated as an actor, I believe everything he does. And even if I don't know if you watch Elementary, but I often I find myself comparing his Sherlock Holmes to Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes in Sherlock.
Nicole and I have just recently started to watch the Benedict ones. I had never seen them before, but man, they are so good. Johnny's good too. Like I like Elementary as well, but man, the Benedict, that guy is really he's on a whole other level.
I would agree, and Yeah, it's insane. If I would definitely fangirl out pretty hard if I met Benedict Cumberbatch, but Johnny Lee Miller as well. If I had to choose the Sherlock I prefer, sorry Benedict, I choose Johnny. Um,
It's okay.
but
You're allowed to.
yeah, no, I like the vulnerability he brings to the character, but yeah. So right now, this very second, if I met Johnny Lee Miller, I got to work with him, I just think it would be so hard for me not to be like, can I watch everything you do? Can I see your process? Can I just study you? It'd be obnoxious. But the list would go on and on. But he's who pops into my head immediately, just as someone that I think it would be fascinating to see how he works, because I feel like his exploration of the character is so thorough that I would probably figure out everything that was wrong with my process by watching him do his thing.
Okay.
But people like that, anybody in that category, I mean, my goodness, it would be humbling and amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, awesome. Another thing I was going to ask you, and I forgot to ask you this about indie.com. How has that helped you as an actress? I mean, that's opened doors as well, right? I mean,
It has. The number one thing it did for me, and the way I treated it when I found it, was a place to, basically like a gym. I didn't know very much about self-taping at the time when I started, and it's interesting now to go back to the first thing I did versus what I'm doing now. And in the year and a half or whatever since I started indie, I treated it as an opportunity to take some homework and do it and perfect a self-taping system that worked for me, because I knew through going through various workshops and classes and stuff, I knew self-tapes were rising in popularity as a way to, especially with places like Atlanta or Portland or Vancouver, like the amount of production that's happening in those places has really risen in the past couple of years. So, so there is quite a bit more remote casting. So anyway, I used Indie though to kind of test what worked and what didn't, and I was always pleasantly surprised if I got a positive response or if I won. And then the number of casting directors I got to meet through Indie.com was awesome. And so it's just like, and so when you have a bit of progress like that, though, and you can kind of trace it, like quite a few things have gone back through Indie like that, and definitely my self-tapes being what they are now, that's so much of that is because the place that Indie.com created.
right. Okay, so I have something. I'm going to put you on the spot again, like I did with Jessica.
Do it.
Nicole Greenwood actually gave me some thoughts on you as well. So here's what Nicole said. The entire indie office loves Jolene. Rare combination of being incredibly talented and someone who hustles, works hard, and really gets things done. She's a doer. She's also fun, beautiful, and one of the coolest people to be around. She's been awarded Judge's Pick from our casting director judges, who happen to be from the best offices in the world, time and time again, based on her talent alone. And after every single indie prize meeting she's won, the casting directors couldn't help but fall in love with her. She's someone that I'm always excited to recommend, and I feel proud every single time I see her work. So that's what Nicole had to say about it.
Oh my goodness, where do you find the time to talk to these people? This is like...
I don't actually. I just made all this up. All I got to say is, hey, Jessica said this. Hey, Nicole said this. And I'll give them a heads up later on. So they can say, hey, by the way, Jolene may ask you if you said this. Just say, yeah.
And so many kind words that you're sending me into the holiday weekend, like, feeling pretty good. Thank you, guys.
The head is growing.
Barely going to fit in the frame by the end of this.
All right. So one other thing I was going to ask you here, and I'll start to wrap it up. But I want to ask you, all right, so I hope I don't throw you off guard with this one, but if you weren't acting, what else would you want to do?
No, it's a great question because I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Mm-hmm. I have a friend who works in New Orleans with animal conservation and wildlife. So, and I'll talk to him every now and then. It's been a while. I need to call him again, but I'll talk to him every now and then and ask him what he's up to, and he'll talk about studying these populations of grasshoppers and looking at environmental factors into what causes a population to boom versus not. So I'd be doing some kind of animal research, or not sure if it counts because it's still kind of in the industry, but I would, if I didn't want to act anymore, or if that didn't work out, I would put myself on the path to being the female version of David Attenborough, because
Wow.
that's something that I think his career is incredible. The scope of it and the impact of it is something that I think is amazing and unique. And anyway, I would. And I would love, I mean, half the time in my life, I'm walking around doing that anyway, talking about like, oh, you guys want to know the handful of rare marsupials that live in Australia? I bet I can name them all, or whatever. Like saying some goofy crap about, weird animal
Looks like
facts. So,
Jolene, we're at Burger King. What do you want?
right.
What we wanted to know.
The great, yes, please.
Oh, but Jolene, thank you. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This has been so awesome. I mentioned to you the other day, it's an opportunity for other people to get to know such a talented actress, but it's an opportunity for me to get to know a friend. And so this has been such a cool opportunity, and I can't thank you enough for doing this, not just for the channel, but for me as a friend. Thank you so much.
Oh man, there's very little I wouldn't do for you, number one. And number two, yeah, and generally ask an actor to talk about themselves, they're probably gonna do it. But no, man, yeah, it's awesome. You ask great questions, and I just think you're amazing. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you so much. All I did was just Google podcast questions, and that's all. I mean, this isn't even me, really. It was just like, let's see, that one sounds pretty good. But no, thank you again, no, and who knows, like maybe later on down the road we can do this again, and.
Or I was going to say, turnabout is fair play, so you never know when I'm going to need to interview your ass, and that will be very fun times.
Then we know you've hit rock bottom. We know.
Or,
thank you again, Jolene, and I look forward to talking to you again, and just thank you for your friendship, and good luck in everything. So,
man, likewise, and yeah, anytime.
All right, bye.